Exec Timeout. By default, an iOS device will disconnect a console or VTY user after 10 minutes of inactivity. You can specify a different inactivity timer using the Exec Timeout minutes, seconds, line mode command. For example, to disconnect a console user after 90 seconds of inactivity, we can use the following command: line console 0, exec timeout 130. 130 means 90 seconds. Let me to show you. It is so easy. If you want to configure exec timeout for line console users or console users, you need to configure this command under the line console. If you want to configure exec timeout for VTY users, means telnet and SSH users, you need to configure this command under the line VTY. And if you want to configure exec timeout for auxiliary users, you can configure this command under the line IOX 0. And about the switch also, we have line console 0 and line VTY number, and after that we can configure exec timeout. It is so easy. Let me to show you. Here we have a router. For example, in this router I'm going to configure exec timeout. The default value is a 10 minute. I'm going to reduce the 10 minute, for example, to a lower value, line console 0. Okay, here we can configure exec, then timeout. Okay, exec timeout. First we should configure minutes. Okay, and after that the second is optional. If you don't configure second, means I don't want to use second. For example, exec timeout 130. After 90 seconds, the router should disconnect user, and if you have authentication, you will see that the authentication should occur again. This is the command that now we have, exec timeout 130. After 90 seconds, we will go to the prompt before the user mode prompt of the router. Also in the switch, we can configure the same feature under the line VTY, under the line console. For example, here in the line console 0, let me to configure exec timeout and then 0 minutes and also a 30 second. It is not so good value, because in some cases if you configure low value, okay, the result will be that you cannot change this value. For example, you configure 101 means 1 second. After 1 second you will go to the outside of the switch, and because you cannot change it here. After 30 seconds we will see that the switch will disconnect the user. If you have authentication, for example, you should again enter the username and also a password. Actually here, after 30 seconds of inactivity, the session will be disconnected and the user will need to supply the console password to log back in. And also if you don't have authentication, they look at here, again now we should enter to the switch. Now let me to configure a password, for example, line console 0, and then here password is Cisco, and then login. Look at here, again I'm going to wait about 30 seconds. After 30 seconds of inactivity, we will see that we disconnect from the switch, okay, because we configured exec timeout, and again we should enter the for example password. Okay, to disable the timeout, look at here, we should wait. To disable the timeout, use the value of 0. This is not recommended in production environment. Maybe in some lab environment you can use the for example exec timeout 0. I'm going to wait about 30 seconds, a little time more. After that you will see that the switch will log out, okay, and we will log out and we need to enter the password again. Don't forget the command exec timeout 00 and also no exec timeout. Disable the exec timeout. Look at here, again when you press enter, now we should enter again the password. Okay, actually we can say this can be helpful for increasing the security if maybe the administrator not available in the for example console or VTY session, and because of this inactivity maybe other person, one attacker can connect to our device, and after that maybe this can be a threat for our network. Because of that, if for example 30 seconds, we have 30 seconds of inactivity, the switch will time out, and again if anybody wants to work with the device, it should authenticate him or herself. Look at here in the router also, now we have timeout. This is the exec timeout feature.